trade has increased over the decades, both in advanced and developing economies. A major driver of economic growth, it fuels development and prosperity in the modern world. International trade has also contributed to the reduction of poverty. However, as the world economy moved from crisis to recovery over the last several years, there has been some concern about the effects of trade liberalization on growth, jobs, and income inequality. Many countries have resorted to measures aimed at protecting their domestic markets, since trade has grown quite slowly in tandem with sluggish global economic activity. If the rise in protectionism continues, could it take a toll on productivity and incomes? Though trade has helped drive economic growth over the longer run, some countries have not capitalized on its benefits. This is true of many countries in Latin America and the Caribbean. The region's relatively low integration into global markets may be affecting its chances to reinvigorate growth. In addition, income inequality in Latin America and the Caribbean is among the highest in the world. So would stronger trade integration help or hurt income distribution? A study was conducted by the IMF to explore the relationship between trade, economic growth, and inequality, with a special focus on Latin America and the Caribbean.
Our research used a cross-country approach to analyze the impact of international trade on economic growth and inequality. We studied the experiences of countries in the region and across the world, including the effects of major trade liberalization episodes. We also considered other characteristics of the region's trade integration, such as its main export markets and products.
Increasing trade with advanced economies could provide the best prospects for the region, in part because the exchange of knowledge and technology would improve productivity. But increased regional trade integration can also augment the growth benefits of trade. It could help boost many regional initiatives. The highly integrated Asian region is a positive example of how this could be done.
Our research finds that trade integration can foster economic activity and is positive for growth. Our analysis also suggests that trade openness does not have an adverse impact on the overall income distribution.
In fact, studies show that countries which remained closed to trade had a marked increase in income inequality relative to those that liberalized trade. And to protect the vulnerable or those affected adversely by trade, countries should establish strong social safety nets to ensure that the gains from trade benefit all. Doing so would also marshal the much-needed support from the public in the region and help advance trade integration.
All right, folks, thanks a million for tuning in to the special broadcast of the Marketplace Reset and Jumpstart Economy Show. I'm Anthony Weeks, executive producer and host of the Marketplace Reset and Jumpstart Economy. Today on the program, we are presenting SETI's initiative, the Caribbean America Single Economy, known as CASE. I'm a founding member of SETI, Inc., and serve as its managing director. Also, in my other official capacity, I am appointed by Governor Albert Bryan Jr. as the Special Economic Envoy to Taiwan and the Asian Pacific region. So welcome to the CASE press conference launch announcement. As usual today, I am joined by my colleagues of co-hosts and contributors. We have Terry Coxum, Linda Dorman, Carolyn Howell. We also usually have Dr. Karen Green. She's not on the program today, but she's normally with us on the broadcast. These colleagues of co-hosts and contributors represent their respective markets and states like the New York tri-state area, Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, better known as the DMV metro area, and the Sunshine State of Florida, represented by Dr. Karen Green and Gwinnett Gittins Roberts. In 2006, my investor colleagues and I proposed to build Global STX, a U.S. Virgin Islands Securities Exchange. It would have been the first global U.S. Caribbean exchange trading of stocks, bonds, commodities, and currencies, et cetera, et cetera. The then governor, Dr. Charles Turnbull administration, approved the executive order to establish the Virgin Islands Stock Exchange Task Force, which I served as the co-chairman of the task force. Subsequently to the governors who succeeded Turnbull administration had contemplated it, but opted not to pursue it or implement it. Since then, my former investor colleagues of John Shibley, Daniel Kamano, have created two new banks, Andarin Bank, which was a domestic bank, and Atlas Bank, which is an international bank. Andarin Bank, as a domestic bank, they sold to another financial institution that is valued at about $30 billion. And so the Atlas Bank, which they have now, is domiciled in the Caribbean and the Americas. Since then, I never wavered in my belief and vision that such an innovative technology, advanced critical market system can be built. Consequently, SETI was created, and that proposed economic model and development ecosystem has come full circle in 2021 in the launching of the Caribbean America's Single Economy CASE initiative. This was extremely viable and cutting edge then, and it is imperative even more so now because of the advancement in the financial technology fintech space. If it was fully executed and implemented back in 2006, this would have positioned St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands, in a very unique market position ahead of the disruptive and transformative financial technology that exists today. And St. Croix would have emerged as the first global U.S. Caribbean securities exchange in the region. And I believe would have been the leader in the capital market formation space since then the U.S. Virgin Islands, but specifically St. Croix has suffered economically, impacted by the 2008 Great Recession, the closure of one of the world's largest oil refineries in 2012, the unprecedented devastation of not just one, but two Category 5 hurricanes in Irma and Maria in 2017, and now the coronavirus COVID-19 world health crisis in a 100-year global pandemic. This has resulted in an economic seismic shift and a major global disruption of global supply chains and economies around the world. And this is of particular consequences for the Caribbean and Latin American region, which was fragmented, fractured, and lacked regional integration to begin with. According and the INF video we just played reaffirmed that. And the frictionless environment for commerce and trade and a movement of capital was an issue. Consequently, today's announcement of CASE is paramount going forward on addressing that particular issue. I would like to thank SETI's FinTech technology and banking strategic partners, Kuminup and Atlas Bank, the Caribbean American Chamber of Commerce of Florida, Inc., and the Caribbean American Passport News Magazine for believing in the regional vision and bringing it to fruition. I will be joined by CASE Collaborative Strategic Partners, SETI members, and former Global SEX investor member, Donald Whedon. Colleagues, let us jump in right now into the presentation and guest speaker with us here today. For the viewing public, listening public, you can simply go to www.caselaunch.info. Again, that's www.caselaunch.info. All right, so let me bring in my colleagues, Terry Coxum. And then I believe we have also on board, we have, I believe we have Carolyn.
Hi, Carolyn.
How are you, Terry?
Hi, Linda.
Good morning. Good morning.
Ladies, how are you doing today?
This is wonderful.
Fantastic, fantastic.
We're feeling very economic.
Today's a very special day.
Yes.
Yes, today's a very special day, ladies. I wanna just say, I wanna share something with you, a quote from Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, the late Steve Jobs said, if you're working on something exciting that you really care about, you don't have to push.
Mm-hmm.
The vision pulls you. This is what late Steve Jobs said in terms of if you truly have a vision that is one that is going to be an event that will shape and change things, no matter how long it takes, you continue to believe and forge ahead. And so this is what the work of SETI and what we've been doing. And today's announcement is that long road, because SETI was created back in 2006 to be able to carry the mantle in moving the region forward. And we have some really nice guests on the program. I want to bring in our other colleague. We have Gwinnett Gittin Roberts. She's the president. She's the CEO, and she's the publisher. She's publisher of the Caribbean Passport News Magazine. She is the president of the Caribbean American Chamber of Commerce in New York. In Florida. And then there is her marketing firm as well. And then also, I believe we have a couple other guests that are going to be speakers from the chamber. I believe. Let's see. I think we have Sandra Hall on the program. Welcome to the program, Sandra. Fantastic.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And I believe we have Alta Natalie Stoll on the program as well.
There we are.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Wow.
So, ladies, thank you so much for being a part of this mission and journey to be able to bring this to fruition. I'd like to basically give you an opportunity, specifically Gwinnett and of course Terry, an opportunity to, based on what we've accomplished to date so far, and where we see ourselves going. What say you in terms of what you see the road ahead looks like?
You want to
Terry, go ahead.
So first of all, I'm super excited. I told Anthony this yesterday, and I even put it in the chat. I'm so excited about this regional partnership because economically, I know it's going to be the change that we need for this time. I mean, we're going through a serious pandemic. But I believe that this regional partnership will bring in the resources that we need. We have the right people at the table now. SETI has set it up so that we are able to move forward. And so I'm looking forward to the conversation today, talking more about what we can do to make sure that the listeners out there have these opportunities and that SETI and this regional partnership, this PACE regional partnership is going to move forward, putting resources in the economy so that we can invest and we can grow. And so I'm super excited about this. So thank you very much for letting me be part of this conversation today.
Fantastic. Before I bring on Gwinnett, real quickly, Linda and Carolyn, what does this mean for you? And you have 30 seconds for each of you to be able to respond.
Well, I'm just going to go super fast. It means remarkable collaborations and strategic alliances that we have been very sorely missed between the America and the Caribbean business communities. And this is a real strong gateway to making those collaborations even more of a reality than what we have in the past attempted to do. So this is a very forward step, a tremendous amount of firepower behind it from the financial sector that you have amassed, and the platform that CASE will provide will serve generations to come and really put the Caribbean and its ability to produce and to connect into the Americas and vice versa in a stronger and more passionate way.
And I echo exactly Linda's thought. I think you said it beautifully, Linda. And for us living in the district, really in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, we are very much a region. And so the idea of trade and commerce and being able to provide opportunities and to connect opportunities that are offshore as well as here is huge. So we're really excited. That gives us the ability to do more and to really, that population that you mentioned, some of the numbers that you've provided us with and the research provides us with, there are trillions of dollars at stake. So we are really excited about this.
Thank you. Gwinnett?
Well, I am so happy that, we started off doing this in one way, just spreading a message about collaboration and working. And here we are at this point, a very short time later. And I think it's because we recognized that Anthony and Terry and ladies, we're all focused on the same mission, and collaborating, we can work better together and make it much better, much stronger. And the two ladies that I chose to bring on to represent the chamber did so particularly because they represent the best of what the chamber has done over actually our 30-year history. Last year we would have been celebrating 30 years as a Caribbean American Chamber of Commerce. Caribbean American Passport would have been celebrating 10 years. Unfortunately, due to COVID, I call that a washed out year. And of course, this year we're going to be doing all our collaborations and celebrations. So this is a great way to start, because this is one of our best collaborations, even to me, in our history, because it puts us to work with the region in a major way, leveraging the diaspora, as we know is an important resource to leverage as well. But it lets us show our strength and unity. And funnily enough, I have on here a person from our private sector, Altasol, and I have a person from our nonprofit sector, Sandra Fatmi. And when Sandra was actually president of the chamber in 2016, the mission of the chamber at that point was, we are stronger together. Let us unite. So,
Awesome.
You know, I'm like, this was meant to be. She was meant to be on here. I'll actually start with Alta first. I'll pull her up. The reason I have her on is Alta has been one of the most brilliant people that I know in operations and logistics. I might be just a little bit biased, because let me tell you guys, ladies, and Anthony, in all honesty, she's been one of my best friends for years. But her brilliance at shaping the logistics operations within the past company that she worked with, her fluidity with an Excel sheet. I'm marketing. I'm on the marketing side. So to see someone just work an Excel sheet, like if it's music, I'd sit at her desk and see her do that. I saw her really leverage technology to grow the company. And most importantly, we're making the case for working with the region, the diaspora. She's actually done that in a very real way. And so I am happy that she has a moment to just share with us what she did in outsourcing labor for one of the largest Caribbean freight forwarders here to Jamaica, and working with the marketing arm of the company based here, US-based company, Caribbean-owned company, but working with the marketing arm in Trinidad. Alta?
Okay.
Hello.
Before we do
Hi,
that,
Okay.
yes, please permit me. Before we do, please permit me, because we have one guest speaker that is on a hard stop at 2:00, and
Okay.
so I'm looking at the clock. And we're getting close to that time. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to bring up. He is Andreas Hayes. He is the director for the city of Washington, D.C., the deputy mayor's office. He's in charge of international development. And I'd like to be able to welcome, he's no stranger to the show. This is his second cameo appearance on the show. Welcome back, Andreas, to the program. And I look forward to the great things we're going to do working with the city of Washington, D.C. In terms of overseas international development. Welcome to the program. What say you?
Thank you very much, Anthony. Thank you, everybody. It's great to actually be in this program again. Like I said, I feel now that I'm part of the family. So thanks again for having me. I just want to spend a few minutes and talk about a little bit in terms of Washington, D.C. and what we're doing in terms of international strategy. We actually built a campaign which is called Obviously DC. Obviously DC is a campaign that it was actually promoted by Mayor Bowser to strengthen Washington DC's economy by attracting and also retaining businesses of all skills. That was the basic behind of all this. And the most important aspect is that when it comes to choosing a city to live, work, and do business, the choice is easy. It's actually going to be obviously DC. So for us, actually, that's the main important aspect here. My team is responsible for four major things. First of all, is for foreign direct investment, FDI, attract FDI into the district. Also to help and to work very close with SMEs, with small business enterprises, medium-sized enterprises to be able to actually bring them to a level where they can actually expand to an international market. Maintain investments in the district, mainly for those organizations that are already invested here. It was actually just more about to keep that relationship in the city. And the last but not least, we're also responsible to organize all trade missions. It could be trade, or it could be trade/diplomatic, or it could be just diplomatic, but we're responsible to actually do that for the city of Columbia, for the city of District of Columbia. Now, just a few things so you can actually be more familiar. One of the biggest aspects that made us build this strategy is the fact that there were three things that everybody knew about Washington, D.C., and never considered D.C. as a strategic partner when it came to economic development. The first thing that actually they told us is the fact that, yes, you host the White House and you're a host of the federal government. The second thing is, yes, you have a beautiful Washington monument in the middle of the city. And third, there are lots of museums. And we told them, well, you know what? Washington is more than that. So we started actually building this campaign, and we started educating more than anything else the different countries and partners that actually host their embassies here in the district. So as we built a strategy, we created an embassy series, and the main purpose is to educate them. We selected a few embassies. We selected a few countries. Actually, I think that's the right way of saying it, that we wanted to engage and do business. And one of them actually, and we want to cover a few aspects of this. First of all, for them to understand that DC has one of the strongest economies in the United States. We're extremely diverse from all single aspects, meaning in terms of communities, and also when it comes to talent. Our talent workforce is one of the tops in the country because most of the students that actually come to universities here in the district, they decide to stay. Another thing is actually is very important is the stable business-friendly environment that we host in the city. And then, yes, we do host the federal government. And also we do host 180 resident embassies, but at the same time, that's actually, we add that to the benefit, but we're not just that. Also, when it comes to economic development, for any organization, it's critical to understand that we host also 3 major airports in the DMV area. So for that, actually, we have access to the world from the DMV. Now, in terms of the Caribbean, to be more specific of what we're doing, we are working in specific strategy that we're building, but mainly it's going to be on the export side of it. So now we have focused where we have identified some key industry sectors where we think is going to be relevant. One of them is going to be hospitality and tourism. The other one is cybersecurity, information technology, healthcare life science, and professional services innovation. We cannot do this alone. So we're working with multiple stakeholders, okay? And as I was listening, and I hope I say it right, with Ms. Gwyneth, right? I actually took note of the Caribbean American Chamber of Commerce. I would love to actually have a conversation with them and to integrate as one of our stakeholders. I think that will be a great opportunity so we can go ahead and proceed and understand exactly what are the requirements, what they're looking for, and then we can also build a partnership and make sure that our objectives for the Caribbean are met. So I just want to say, I hope I was able to cover a little bit, inspire some of you in terms of Washington, D.C. And I just want to end up in one phrase. When you're actually looking for a partner, it's obviously D.C. Come and join us, okay?
Andres, thank you so much.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Andres, and looking forward to the follow-up in terms of the further coordination and implementation of CASE with our various partners. Thank you.
And Caroline, please make sure we connect me to Ms. Gwyneth, okay?
So we can absolutely.
Definitely, we want to make sure that we're part of that collaboration with the Korean American Chamber of Commerce. Have a blessed afternoon. Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Thank you, Andres. Appreciate you.
Wonderful.
All right. Alter, thank you so much for your patience. I just needed to be able to accommodate Andres' schedule. And so please go right ahead, please.
And I know Alta also and Sandra are on a tight schedule today. So thank you, ladies, for gracing us. And Alta actually is now CEO of Caribbean Sea Waves and actually getting out some containers today, but graciously took the time to talk with us. But Alta, we'll go back to how was it actually? Andres is encouraging us to work with DC. You actually did this with Jamaica, especially. Could you tell us a little bit about how that worked out and how it was, and just a few minutes of your time?
Thank you for having me on today's. I took the opportunity. I was actually very happy that Rengen gave me a call to be a part of the show. But
your volume is kind of low. Could you turn up your volume? Your volume is low.
In the computer for me.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I'll let you guys know that Guinness tends to be a little bit biased. We've been friends for many years. We're not just friends. I consider us more family, sisters, but I'm also, of course, her daughter's godmother. So please, the introduction. She tends to be a bit biased. But getting back to the fact, I've been in logistics all my life. I like to tell people I was actually born into it. Literally, it started out with my family who were in shipping. And as you mentioned earlier, when you're passionate about something, you tend to, truly follow it from the heart. But in terms of with my past company that I worked with, a lot of people tend to think it might be a little bit.
Yeah, she's having connection issues.
We lost.
Actually.
Oh, okay. You were saying people think it's difficult to do business with Caribbean countries in terms of the staffing, but it's not.
Yeah, she's having connection issues.
But it's actually very, very. The process was as.
You going in and out. No, it's going in and out, but we can hear you now.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure why. I think
sometimes if you turn off your video, there's a chance that we might just be able to hear your voice, your wonderful message.
Yeah. What can if you can get a better connection, Alta, when you're stationary, and if you can call back into the studio, and we can circle back with you.
Sure.
Gwinnett, if that's okay, if we can, we have a couple minutes before the top of the hour. Have
fine.
Yeah, have Sandra say something real quickly.
To have, it's a really good conversation to have to dispel those issues and break down the barriers to entry. If that is in fact the barrier to entry, is that there is this perception of difficulty in bringing business into or collaborating with in some partnership. So that is definitely something we should continue the conversation around, because I am quite certain that is not true. And
then that was exactly what her presentation was going to be about, that it really was not so, that it was actually a lot easier than she anticipated. And that's because you're dealing with folks who understand the community that they're dealing with here. They're English speaking, they're French speaking, you have access to Hispanic, Spanish speaking folks. So it was easy, and it actually improved their bottom line. And so we'll have her back in, if she gets it connected now, we'll have her back, but maybe in the 2:30 piece. But let me hand over to Sandra, because I'll tell you guys, Sandra has been there with the chamber for about as long as I've been with the chamber. And Sandra was actually the person who first guided us to signing our first SBA agreement. And so she uniquely understood the need for us to have not just a chamber that spoke to people about business development, but actually found where the money was for them to grow their businesses. So Sandra, please give us a little talk about who you are and what this means to you.
Well, first of all, let me say a pleasant good afternoon to everyone. And Mr. Anthony Weeks, thank you for all you do. Ladies, happy Women's History Month. I must take the opportunity to say that. Today is our last day, so this was just so fitting. And when Gannett asked me, it was an absolute pleasure. Listen, in June of 2010, while a branch manager at SunTrust Bank, I was instrumental in the SBA administration, the Caribbean American Chamber of Commerce, signing a strategic alliance that brought SBA programs to chamber members, right? And just think how important it is. Some of the things were networking sessions, workshops, training, and seminars. Just think about this amazing collaboration and what it afforded people the opportunity to do. One of the problems that we found with Caribbean American community business owners was that they were so busy running their businesses that they were not aware of all the resources that were out there. So seminars were put together that helped them with marketing. A lot of people have the money to open business, but don't know how to stay in business, right? So what they're doing and what they did and continue to do was they opened up their businesses, but then they were doing the marketing after. It has to be ongoing prior to you actually starting, because someone needs to know that you're going to be there before you're actually there so that they can support you, right? Which makes a lot of sense. So I'm super proud of the job that Gannett has done through the Caribbean American Passport News Magazine, through the Chamber as the current president, to bring collaboration together. And I'm super excited about Mr. Hayes wanting to collaborate with us. And I'm proud of each and every one of you ladies, because this is timely. It's important. Collaboration works. It brings about success if done rightly and we stick to it. It is extremely important, and I am going to be here as a support through both the Passport and the Chamber to offer any kind of advice and help in helping to make this partnership work and for us to be successful, because it has worked in the past.
All right. Of course, Anthony, I told you, I said Sandra fits right in with the ladies on this panel, and you see why.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, the excitement just at this point, I think it's, for me, it's in trying to contain that excitement is, for me, has been one of the hardest things, because this has been forthcoming for so long. I've been, it's been something I've been working on for quite some time. And I'm just excited for the various strategic partnerships and collaboration we're going to have to really change the paradigms, to change the dynamics of how what Michael Lee-Chin said. He is one of the founder of one of the largest banks in Jamaica, based in Canada. And he said, once you're able to overcome perception and reality, that will determine whether or not there's an opportunity or not. And so clearly, when you think of the perception of doing business within the region with the Caribbean and Latin America, there's a lot of, if you will, debunking, if you will, that we're going to have to do, because they just see us clearly as a tourism destination, but we're a lot more than that. And so I look forward to being able to explore that as well. Coming up is the next speaker. Because I promised at the top of the hour he would speak. He was one of the investors for the group that was part of the creation of Global SDX. The folks that you see on the screen, the person on the left is Emeritus, former chairman, CEO of Wheaton & Company. Incredible story. Next is John Shibley. He was the one of the founders and president of NextTrade, a cutting-edge technology company. And Daniel Camano, Esquire. He's one of the founders of Atlas Bank, and he serves as the chairman and president of Atlas Bank. I'd like to welcome Daniel to the program to just really give an overview of the diversity of his financial fintech institution, his bank, and some of the wonderful things that they're doing right now as well. Daniel?
Yes, good afternoon, Anthony. Good afternoon, ladies. It's a pleasure to be with you today. First of all, I want to congratulate you for the launching of such important initiative for the region. Our company has been in business for over 25 years. I think I had the pleasure of meeting you in St. Croix, I don't know, it was 15 or 16 years ago.
Yep.
When you have the foresight to create the Caribbean Stock Exchange, I think that you were a little bit ahead of your time, like any other visionary that I've met in my life. And we supported fully your endeavors. I don't know how that initiative fizzled, but we continue to support anything that is related to the Virgin Islands, St. Croix, St. Thomas, the Caribbean, and Latin America. In fact, we began the company back in 1994. We've been in business now for 25 years. I've gotten old with the company. John was really young when I met him. He was in his 20s. Now he's in his 50s. So we've come a long way. Our competitive advantage has always been technology, financial technology. We began developing technology with what now they call artificial intelligence, machine learning mechanisms back in the 90s. We have a very strong quant team. We have a rather significant office in Canada where we have our lab, where we have our development of the different algorithms that drive our technology. We were one of the first electronic stock exchanges authorized by the Securities and Exchange Commission to operate in the United States. We ran that company from 1995, I believe, through 2006, when Citigroup and Citibank knocked on our doors for many, many years, and finally we decided to sell the company. I mean, they wrote a big check, so we had no choice. But we kept the technology. Just to give you an idea, our technology at the time ran transactions that did more than 60,000 transactions per second. So I'm on a and that was the fastest technology in Wall Street. It was even faster than the NASDAQ, or what's called now Arca, the New York Stock Exchange. And by force, most of the market participants needed to hit our order book because of the speed of execution that we have. What does that mean? That means that the technology on a time frame and also on a service basis can be utilized anywhere in the world. So to us, borders and geographical barriers have been overcome because our businesses have been run and continue to be run, with technology that can be placed anywhere in the world. For that matter, we could be anywhere in any planet, and we can have our businesses run seamlessly. So I had indicated that our technology ran 60,000 transactions per second then, which was the fastest technology in the world. Our technology now runs more than 60,000 transactions per second. 60,000 transactions per nanosecond. So it's an incredible fast technology. We have been able to integrate speed with intelligent delivery of information as well as execution through the AI, artificial intelligence algorithms that we develop in-house. So, we are a Florida company. We were born in Tampa, Florida, but we have significant offices and presence in New York, in Toronto, in Canada. We have a rather large group in St. Petersburg, in Russia. We have a small office in London. We have an office in Denver, the main office in Tampa, and we have for Latin America, we have a rather large group and the bank in Panama City, Panama. We also own a fund in Santiago, in Chile. We manage more than $700 million in assets in Santiago. And as you said, Anthony, our history has been a very successful history of deploying technology and providing banking services, financial services, market services through technology. The bank that we currently own is not a big bank, it's a small bank, but it's a dedicated bank to the region. We do mostly electronic transactions for market structure participants. We do clearing and settlement for financial products, as well as foreign currencies. We have in our technology more than 240 pairs and crosses. I am not going to get technical on it, but that means that we carry more than 200 currencies in our portfolio of currencies that we clear for financial institutions and exchanges, hedge funds, family offices, and high net worth individuals. We also have a division, the corporate division, where we service corporate clients, any traditional banking services, and we have the private banking solution. We're also involved in the development of regions as it relates to financial technology. We own all of that technology. We have invested close to $100 million in technology. We own it. The majority of it. We do utilize some technology from third parties as we need to integrate with other banks. We are connected via an electronic communications network in New York with the largest banks in the world. We have in our portfolio of clients, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Barclays, and some of the European banks, Latin American banks, African banks. And we do business all over the world. We've been very, very interested in the development of CARICOM, the Caribbean, and we've been following closely all of the endeavors that Anthony has been involved with, and anything that we can do to support it, we are here at your service. Thank you very much, Anthony, for the opportunity to do whatever we can so that your endeavors and the Caribbean is successful.
Dan, I got to tell you, it has absolutely been incredible between the year 2006 and 2021, in terms of the just the bandwidth, the runway, and the time that you have innovated and have literally changed the landscape of financial technology, and the diversity of your portfolio and your assets is just incredible, because it's the kind of innovation and leadership we're going to need if in terms of building a viable regional capital market system, and you're going to need those types of transformative approach to how you approach the region, because our other colleague Don Whedon, who's on the part of the program, his is, as you know, Dan, his story is incredible. The Whedon family, a legendary family in the financial service sector, he took on the New York Stock Exchange. Before there was a third market, there was the initial market, the IPO market, the secondary market, and he got resistance from the New York Stock Exchange to create a national market. One thing you don't tell Don you can't do something. And Don took on the fight to be able to challenge the New York Stock Exchange and won that fight. And now, because of Don Whedon and company and his colleagues who pioneered the third market exists now, because you now have a market where institutional investors can trade large blocks of security amongst themselves. And so he's going to tell them. So I don't want to steal his thunder, but that's the caliber of people that were behind the proposal to create the global SDX, to create the first global U.S. Caribbean exchange in St. Croix, and we would have been forerunners. We were ahead of our time, but there's still the opportunity to be able to achieve that. And I want to just say, ladies, based on what you heard so far. Oh, by the way, Dan, I want to thank you to your recent success on the New York Stock Exchange. You guys just got listed on the New York Stock Exchange on the Quantum FinTech Acquisition Corporation. You are a blank check company where you were going to use those monies to help acquire highly advanced FinTech companies. Congratulations on your achievement in your new listing of Quantum on the New York Stock Exchange.
Thank you very much, Anthony. It's been an achievement. We do own part of the company, and the stock is QFTA, and it's doing rather well, actually. We have a criteria for the acquisition of that fintech company. It has to be a company that, like us, is disruptive in the industry, either through an innovative product or through an innovative service. And also, has to have the management team that will drive that business for the next 10 to 15 years. As you know, initiatives, businesses, and companies don't run themselves. Even though we have the best of breed technologies and state-of-the-art artificial intelligence, companies are always run by people. And having good people in a team is the most important element for the success of an organization. And I see that you have surrounded yourself with very successful people, Anthony, for which I congratulate you. I also want to say hello to Don. I haven't seen Don probably in 15 years. He was kind enough to host me in his beautiful home there in St. Croix. I still have beautiful memories of my room overlooking that beautiful golf course and the Caribbean, the blue Caribbean in the background. I never played golf there, Don, and I've always been dreaming about coming back and playing golf. Maybe one day I'll get to see you again. I'm so happy to see you. You look great, and you're still involved. That's just fantastic. So in any case, our company and our resources are always supportive of anything that we can do, to get the initiative going, the Caribbean as a financial region. We are actually, in Latin America because of you, Anthony, because when you met John and he integrated with you in the STX initiative, he came back and he was so excited. And he put a big box on my desk and he said, here's my partner. He said, Dan, we got to sell the bank here in the US. We got to go to Latin America. I said, who is Anthony? What has he done to you? He's brainwashed you. So he actually got me on a plane and I flew to St. Thomas, took that water plane into St. Croix, and I loved it. And we did sell the bank to, it's a big bank now. It's a more than $32 billion bank. And we created Atlas. Atlas is a fantastic story. It's the only bank in Latin America that does prime broker services for financial products. Latin America is a very fragmented financial market. Our goal and our mission is to integrate those markets via our technology and our financial services. So your initiative now, I believe, is timely. We have a financial, as I see, a revolution that we cannot ignore. I think that, the newest trends in financial opportunities is in the cryptocurrency space. We are not yet fully engaged in that arena. However, we do have the blockchain technology and the backbone, the technological backbone to be one of the players in the crypto space. I firmly believe that the crypto industry has a lot of legs, and unless the government comes up with their own digital currency, which they continue to talk about, and they decide to undo this new crypto economy, as I call it, I think that we are at the inception of that opportunity, and companies, initiatives, and any other endeavor that makes the crypto industry part of that endeavor is going to be very successful in the years to come. So those are our views, and if you guys, ladies, have any questions, I'll be very happy to entertain them. Thank you so much for.
Now you see why CASE is going to be successful, because when we talk about literally transforming the capital market system in the region, which has been literally fragmented, fractured, money doesn't flow freely, trade is not frictionless, because of the likes of Atlas Bank and Quantum and all of their different capabilities in the fintech space, is how we're going to revolutionize how capital market system function in the region. And so I want to thank you so much for that, Dan. My colleagues are there. I'm sure they may have one or two questions.
I do. Oh,
just one sec, just before Sandra has to drop off. And so I just wanted, before she dropped off, I wanted to actually just say to her, thank you for coming on, and to just let you guys know that Sandra is also, through her nonprofit, she has fed 100,000 families during this pandemic.
Wow.
100,000 families. And that is by members of the private sector. That is not really true. Any public funds in this. And so, Sandra, thank you for coming.
Kudos.
Thank you so much
for the pandemic.
That's a big deal.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And Gannett is a part of that initiative, and her husband, and she's being so modest, but it took quite a lot. It took a village, and I want to thank everyone that helped us to do that, and to thank everyone here for having me. Really appreciate it. And this is going to be great, guys.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Looking forward.
Thanks, Angela.
Okay.
Thank you.
Linda, you had a question?
I did, and it's kind of dovetails to something that you and I talked about earlier this week, and that was the cryptocurrency economy. I'm a Satoshi investor, working my way up to 1 or 2 full Bitcoins at some point in the future, and very interested in the digital currency. And so I do have a couple of questions. As it relates to the bank, how are you bringing in or incorporating or integrating in that type of currency, like, for instance, BitPay? Being able to API these different industries that are now beginning to pay out through Bitcoin or other currencies, and then need the banking institutions to be in a position to support that. So if you have MasterCard as an example that now accepts Bitcoin for payments or even purchasing, how are you integrating? That's one. And then 2, what are the ticker letters for where you are on the exchange? Quantum. I don't know if we heard that. That's a great accomplishment. Congratulations. And then 3, my last question, you talked about interested in companies that are disruptive, that are innovative, or services that are innovative. How would a company come to you or to the team and pitch those ideas and or pitch what they have been able to accomplish in the marketplace thus far? Those are my 3 questions.
Sure. Thank you so much. I mean, you're asking me 3 questions: integration of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies into the traditional banking system. The second one is Quantum. The symbol is QFTA. Begin there. QFTA. That's Quebec, Frank, Tango, and Apple. I think it goes also by QFTA-U. And if you go to the New York Stock Exchange website and you search for Quantum FinTech, it will show you the history of the company and the pricing of the stocks. And I'll talk about Quantum in a moment. And the last one is, how is it that a company that's in a disruptive space and it has innovative products or services come to us? It's very simple. We are very open to anyone who has an interest in having their private organization go public through our vehicle, and they can contact us directly. We do have a significant number of companies that have come to us, obviously because of the stricter and limitations of the securities laws. I can only refer in general, to a significant number of companies that have come to us, and I cannot get into specifics as to, the name of those companies or which companies those are. But just to give you an idea, we're looking at digital asset exchanges. We're looking at companies that are pioneers in the digital asset democratization, I should say, and their ability to penetrate on a global basis with technology that market. We're also looking at the production of the different digital assets and the confirmation of transactions, which are the miners. We're looking at those. We're looking in the traditional fintech space to companies that have been disruptive in different areas of our economy. We're looking at companies that have software as a service and that they have a tremendous growth because their technology either complements the ability to link geographical areas or link different industries, as you asked me, link between the digital asset world with the traditional fiat and banking world. So I think I've given you a little bit of an answer. I mean, anybody can come to us. We have a website. The website is qftacorp.com, and there's a lot of information in that website. Again, qftacorp.com, and you will find the criteria that we have for acquisition and to be looking at the different opportunities that exist at the moment for private companies. As it relates to the integration of digital assets into the traditional banking system, you mentioned we have MasterCard. Actually, we do have Visa, which that's our Visa card.
Fabulous. Okay.
We have Visa, and our services are provided through the internet on a global basis, and our Visa card is accepted all over the world, whether on a debit card basis or on a credit card basis. The ability of the bank to do transactions like PayPal is conducting, I believe they began doing it today, accepting Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, it doesn't hinge in our ability to process those transactions from a technological standpoint, because we do have the technology, we have the knowledge, we have the wherewithal, the procedures, we have the PIX APIs. We have, our tech team is second to none, is world class, and the ability that our bank and any other bank has to provide those services, in our case, is not limited by technology. In the majority of the banks, is limited by technology, because traditional banks, in my opinion, which our bank is not a traditional bank. We can offer traditional services, but we're not a traditional bank. Traditional banks are an anachronism. I believe they're going to disappear in the next 20, 25 years. They will be replaced by financial services company that will grow with the times. Our ability to provide the transformation of the payments in digital assets is limited by the understanding of our regulatory authorities. Regulators around the world, in the US, Europe, Latin America, or anywhere, banking regulators are very slow in adapting and adopting new financial products, as you can tell by the evolution of the digital assets. At the beginning, we had a blanket prohibition from even accepting clients that are in the digital asset space. We've done a lot of inroads in the regulatory arena, and we have unsuccessfully, I should say, attempted to obtain the authorization of our regulators to allow us to provide digital asset services as we offer, fiat products. In our bank, which is really neat, because unlike traditional banks or the mandate that banks have in the United States, you will see that they service clients in a single currency. In our bank, you can open accounts not only in US dollar, but you can open accounts in euros, you can open accounts in yens, you can actually open accounts in any major currency, and you can hold those deposits, and you can transact in those currencies through our bank. We believe that the globalization of financial services is a foregone conclusion. We believe that via technology, you will find that in the next, and depends how the regulatory landscape progresses, but in the next 10 to 20 years, you will find that you will not need to come to banks, and you will actually have access to an array of banking services and financial services more so than you have today.
Awesome.
Wow.
That is great. And I did look up the ticker. I have it. Did look up the bank. I have that. And it's exciting to know that globally, I feel like we're talking about the Jetsons, the cartoon, the Jetsons, where you're thinking about it in the banking world, where there are no borders. And that's critical, because that's exactly when you talk about integrating businesses and starting what you had begun to start with this global exchange, to be in a position to move and seamlessly trade, as well as payout, as well as exchange currencies very fluently within a single platform. So, outstanding.
Yes. And I know if people look back to the past, there are a lot of people in the Caribbean who've actually lost money because they've tried to hold it in one bank in another country, hold it in another bank, not be able to properly manage it probably all in one place, as this bank is offering. This is very exciting to me. I look forward to sharing this with really our members in the region, because this is going to be a great service.
Wonderful.
And I'm
absolutely
going to have to jump off of the call, but Daniel, that was a lot of great information. I'm super excited about this regional partnership that's going to be able to advance the implementation of U.S. law. I mean, I feel like, case was going to be a really big deal, but hearing you speak about traditional banks versus what we're going to be looking forward to in the future really changes the game, and it also changes the game across economies. So having that fluidity of being able to use your technology to move your money, the way you need to, is really going to be exciting. So I'm glad to be a part of this. And thank you, Daniel. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to hear from Donald and John, but I know that you guys are going to continue to have a fabulous show. And ladies, I will catch you on our next show. Thank you, Anthony, for letting me be a part of it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Terry, and looking forward to, obviously, to the next installment of the program. Don, based on what you've heard so far, when we started this journey back in 2006, we were addressing that global markets were still antiquated, legacy system. They were not connected. Dan Camano and John Chiblee and company, they were one of the first early innovative electronic communication network companies that literally helped to connect global markets. That was so successful, they sold that company to Citicorp. And back then, we were just simply talking about traditional stocks and bonds. We were not talking about where technology is today, period. And so what really excited me about Don Whedon, and the fact that his family played such a pivotal role in shaping the American financial system in the creation of the third market, is Dan is a maverick. I always used to call him Dan. We used to call Don Whedon a maverick, because that's what's in his blood. As a former fighter jet pilot, I guess he can't help himself. That's what he is. He's a fighter. And so taking on the New York Stock Exchange to create the third market is something that came natural to him. Don, based on what you heard Dan Camano said so far, does anything surprise you, come out at you? Because, at this point, what we were talking about in 2006 is pale in comparison to where it is today, and what the case exchange case market is going to do in terms of the evolution of how we're going to form capital and the movement of capital in the region for the purpose of trade and commerce in the region. Don? Your microphone is muted. Unmute your microphone. Don, your microphone is muted.
Still muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes, we can hear. Yes, we can hear now. Yes.
So, Anthony, I think this is a great gathering. Do people classify it as your harem here that you've collected, all of these young ladies? I think that's wonderful. It certainly indicates that women are going to take over the world eventually. And I congratulate you. And it's a good place to start in St. Croix and U.S. Virgin Islands. You know, I'm an old goat at 90, and the future is slim for me, but the past is about all that I can talk about. But I do want to say that the conditions that making markets, establishing an exchange, allowing people to trade from St. Croix in universal marketplaces is a wonderful opportunity. You've got the weather, you've got Global Crossing, you've got through EDC, you've got excellent tax benefits, and you've got the U.S. legal system. If you can't make something of all of those things besides good quality women and others, then I think that it would be unfortunate. And that was what brought John Shibley and Dan and Anthony and me back together in 2006. We saw that as an opportunity. And about all I can say is I want to congratulate all of those who are involved in the process. Congratulations for having kept the idea, kept the spirit, and kept needling the regulatory bodies to recognize the opportunities that exist in making markets, conducting exchanges in the U.S. Virgin Islands that could bring additional prosperity to this area. And I have little else to say but a lot of vignettes about the path along the way. When I got out of the Air Force, I went to work for Wheaton and Company. And I would say it began with a fight with the New York Stock Exchange and then the SEC. And we eventually got them to talk about a national market system. And then the opportunity arose through a technology that I was benefited from by being part of National Semiconductor since 1959 and watching the technology that would allow for what you're trying to do today. All I can say is I think that the future is there to be taken advantage of, and I encourage all of you involved in it to do exactly that. I do have one vignette, and that would be when John Shibley got married in our house on St. Croix. And you have to know that John Shibley is one of the most business-oriented, anti-government people that I know. And I was that old liberal Democrat. And so as a as a present for having provided my home, he gave me Ann Land's Atlas, what was the name of that? Yes. And I thought that was a wonderful gesture by him to think that he could encourage me to be as conservative as he was. But I have to admire John and his team for having done what they've done. And I think that the fact that you have Dan along with you trying to do something in the market area for St. Croix, making it the center of the Caribbean economic activity in the same way that the New York Stock Exchange helped to provide that for the city of New York. I applaud all of you. I was listening to all of your remarks with interest and excitement that things are going on down there, and I hope that you do well, and thank you for allowing me to be part of this.
Dan,
That's
thank
all
you
I
so
have to
much.
say.
Thank you so much, Dan. Don, I got to tell you, Don. Yeah, I know. Dan and Don got it going on here. Don, I want to tell you, I mean, both Don as well. Back then, the fight was not the fight, but the opportunity was, how do we create a market that was different than any other markets around the world? And we were looking at those unique, characteristic of a global SDX based in U.S. Virgin Islands. I'm really glad and really excited to tell you what we didn't have back then, which we wanted back then, which we have today, which is sanctioned by the federal government, is the ability to be able to give capital gains tax exemption. We didn't have it back then. Today, we have the ability to offer investors that are willing to take their capital gains investment and invest it in a community, in a business, in a project that will help to stimulate capital and the flow of capital and investment in the market. And so the ability to scale and the ability to stack is incredible. My colleague, John Clendenin, is one of the SETI members, knows very well about, what we're talking about. Also, we have Matthew Beam. Let me bring up Matthew as well. Matthew Beam is another SETI member. Matthew Beam is the director for the European Financial Group Bank, heading up their operations in Uruguay. But Matthew has written and lived in South America for a long time, and so he knows the South. He knows the Latin market very well. He's married to a beautiful Argentinian wife. My nephews, I long to see them. Look forward to seeing them the next time they come back to the States. But Matthew is someone that loves St. Croix. He came to St. Croix. We couldn't get rid of him. He's gone, but he's always looking for a reason to come back to St. Croix. And I want to thank Matthew for that. And when we talk about the development of the region, how do we integrate? How do we connect markets? Matthew Beam and his knowledge within that region and working for the European Financial Group brings a certain dynamic and perspective to the table. So Dan, Don, I want to thank you so much for that. I see Dan dropped off. I don't know if you're having connection problems, but anyone has any question for Don? Don?
I loved to hear Don's presentation. And I actually, the last time that we were on, I talked about the fact that it was a lot of excitement coming out of the Virgin Islands. And you guys did not get to actually see what the newspaper looked like. But if you look, it's Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett. And then there's an article talking about how the U.S. Virgin Islands can actually energize CARICOM. So in print, there's a lot about the U.S. Virgin Islands that has actually been shared throughout the state of Florida, because that's where the newspaper is. And that's essentially what we're going to be doing, is taking this messaging and putting it into print form. And so I enjoyed listening to Don. I enjoyed listening to all of your presenters. And this is where we're going with it as well. Into
absolutely. Caribbean American Passport is the largest publication distributor for the Caribbean diaspora. Again, Caribbean Passport News Magazine is the largest publication for the Caribbean diaspora statewide. And so we have an important ally in terms of connecting with the businesses and the organizations and the entrepreneurs in the region, because this is going to be really fueled and driven by the private sector. And so the ability to
put me on the mailing list. Anthony has my email and so forth, and I will read it, and I'll be down there next Christmas.
Awesome.
I'm going to sign off because It's probably going to rain up here before this is finished, and I want to go out and do a little more splitting of wood. Okay.
All right.
That's what
sounds
keeps
good.
me young.
Sounds good, Don. Thank you so
right.
much.
Very nice.
All right.
Pleasure to meet you.
Great comments.
All right.
And
All right.
Anthony, you kind of blew in with an amazing comment around what the federal government, what we have now that we didn't have then. And that was in terms of parking our capital gains tax, deferrals. Can you just talk about it? Are you referring to at least one of the program's opportunity zones? Are you referring to that?
Yes, I didn't say the name. I did not say the name. I just said federal.
Just want to make sure.
Okay, yes. I'm referring to the qualified opportunity zone. All right, Don. The Virgin Islands is one of the 8,700 qualified opportunity zones in the country. And so therefore we are able to put together projects as well as enterprises that are eligible for investment as a qualified opportunity zone business enterprise.
And what year are we in? Because it was a 5, 7, 10 year.
Because of COVID, a lot of what happened had to be, if you will, they changed the goalposts, if you will. That they had to extend the dates because obviously it wasn't helping the success of the program, and so yes, we have some extra runway with that as well.
Okay, and Anthony, Matthew cannot hear, so I don't know if his mic needs to be turned up on your side of the mic.
Yeah, no, Matthew's mic is muted until he's going to speak, I think. Matthew, can you hear us?
He cannot hear you.
He says he cannot hear. He typed in the chat.
Oh, let's see something here. Matthew, if could someone tell him to unmute his mic?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So while we wait for Matthew, what I'd like to do is I'd like to bring in John Clendenin while Matthew's working out the technical challenges he's having. Let me, before I give John the floor.
Sorry, let's see if he can hear us now. Matthew, are you hearing? Because he unmuted now.
Matthew?
No. Okay, still nothing. Okay.
Yeah. Matthew, I'm not sure. You may have to dial back in again to see if you can fix it that way. Can someone type in and tell them to dial, check out, and then come back in, please?
Yeah, I just did.
Okay, so John Clendenin, his CV, right? An incredible CV. Former military veteran. He calls me Marine. I'm no Marine. He's the Marine, but he always calls me Marine. And he is one of his biggest accomplishment. He was a contender for when I believe was it under Trump? When Trump got elected, he was going to be considered. He was being considered to be the Secretary of the Navy. Did I say that right? Did I say that right, John Clendenin? You were one of the contenders being considered for Secretary of Navy, and I bring that up to you. I bring it up to say the caliber of person this John is. He's an extremely, incredibly smart person, an incredible visionary, but he's also, and in terms of academia, he comes from that, sort of Ivy League, space that I don't know anything about, and so what he does know is telecom, and what he knows is supply chain. Okay, and the reason for that is because what really started all of this, global SDX proposal, my relationship when I met John Clendenin, was St. Croix is the second largest fiber optic network in the world, second to New York. There are three rings, Brookhaven, New York, Hollywood, Florida, Frederiksted, St. Croix are the three rings that literally controls the majority of the internet traffic coming up the East Corridor into the Caribbean and South America. The reason why South America has high-speed internet, because there's a little obscure unknown island called St. Croix, is why South America has high-speed internet, because we're one of those rings. And so when we conceived the idea to create the Virgin Islands Stock Exchange, it was because of the infrastructure that St. Croix has. And so John was one of the early folks that was responsible for really saying, okay, we need to do more with this infrastructure. And John, I want to thank you for the labor of love and your continued support. But more important, John is going to be important because John now brings New York into the fold, Gwinnett. When we talk about why New York, obviously Terry is there, but John is going to talk a little bit about the work he's doing in New York, because one of our other colleague, Tony, he is now the CIO or the CTO for the state of New York. Okay, so Tony Reddick, which is one of our colleagues, part of the Virgin Islands delegation to Taiwan, is now the CIO CTO for the state of New York, and so John, please connect the dots a little bit, if you will, on what this means technologically for St. Croix and the Virgin Islands.
Great, and you can hear me fine.
You sound very low.
Turn it up a little bit.
Okay,
turn up your volume. Your volume is very low.
Okay, all right. Got me now. Yeah,
You're getting better.
Yeah.
Getting better.
Okay, so
And Matthew is hearing too now, so great.
Okay.
So as Anthony said, I'm CEO and founder of Inner Circle Group, and we specialize in supply chain and optimization and technology. So my background is in 38 years in the Marine Corps. I'm a retired colonel, and I've also spent time in the in the Ivy Leagues on the senior faculty at the well-known Eastern Business School that some people call Harvard, HBS. So at any rate, in teaching there, and that was 20 years ago, I left Harvard to start a .com company, as we call them back in the day, and started in the Circle Group, and was recruited to come to St. Croix, which is my ancestral home. I'm sixth generation Crucian. So I came home some 16 years ago, and started what I coined and started with Silicon Island, and that we had this infrastructure, and we formed in 2005 the Virgin Islands Internet Infrastructure Initiative to try to do those kinds of things. Now, my background in trade and trade facilitation for USAID, the Trade Development Agency of the U.S., companies like Boeing, Raytheon, connecting their suppliers, the vision was that it's the movement. When you look at international trade, it's the movement of the assets, the kicking boxes and biting tires. It's the movement of the money, which is what Anthony does, and all of you that talk about the banking infrastructure. And then it's the movement of the information, and that's what I have specialized in, is how do you move the information necessary for international trade, so that you can, and the notion is that just-in-time information is just as important as just-in-time delivery. So what we did was we formed this notion called a Supply Chain Center of Regional Excellence. And we've tried for 15 years now, like the stock exchange, to launch that in St. Croix because of the opening of the Panama Canal, because of the internet infrastructure, and because of the supplying of goods and materials throughout the Caribbean diaspora. So what I've done is shifted my focus to New York, where I went to Brooklyn Tech and spent my teen years. And because of the pandemic, the governor was looking at a way to how do you support the PPE, the personal protective equipment, into the city of New York. And we thought that the solution was using the Stewart Air Force Base, which was closed during the BRAC base closures several years ago. So the airport at Newburgh has been renamed as the New York International Plaza, and they are looking at, they have a 99-year lease with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and what we want to do is be the internet infrastructure and put it as a score center for a supply chain center of regional intermodal access to New York City. So we'll take the second largest runway in the world, just like St. Croix has a long runway, and take the air traffic take some of the cargo burden out of JFK and Newark, and have that intermodal hub in Newburgh, so it frees up because it's outside of the New York airspace. We also have Conrail on the west side of the Hudson River, a deepwater seaport at Beacon, and we have the road infrastructure with the new Mario Cuomo Bridge and Route 95, 98, 287. So in that area, 51 miles from New York City, we want to put a smart city canopy that we've been studying for the last 3 years with Anthony going and leading our delegations to Taiwan, and take that technology that we have and put in an Internet of Things, an IoT infrastructure, 5G, of unified telecommunications over that area and develop the first real smart city environment in the United States. 51 miles from New York City, so we can have electric vehicles that go in and come out, consolidate the shipping and the truckloads, and create that environment. So we have raised the capital, and we are now proceeding to get the 126 acres of commercial land there and do a public-private partnership with New York. The next aspect of that is to connect New York, because the Stewart Air Force Base is where the C-5s and C-117s from the Air Force Base fly their shipments around the world, to make it a disaster response center for FEMA DHS, and also connect that hub to the Virgin Islands. So the idea is, since we've been thwarted in our efforts to start this SCORE centers here, we'll start it in New York, and then we'll connect it to St. Croix. There's other legs of this strategy, and that's with Doha. They have another large runway there in the American military base there that they want to commercialize. And so we would connect up, trying to get it in place for the Doha in the 2022 World Cup, so that they can have Doha be a center of international trade there. And the fourth leg is in Taiwan, to go and connect us with Asia. So the idea is to take all of those things, and what we're doing with the international movement of the money in St. Croix, juxtapose that with the international movement of data and the transfer of data into multiple formats and structures, and the applications layer. So we have that capability to put the data centers in there to back up the data from New York, from Doha, from the Caribbean, back and forward, and be able to optimize international trade. So there you go.
Thank you so much.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Listen, so clearly, when we look at just by sheer in economics, there's a thing called coincidental opportunities. And when you think of the infrastructure in St. Croix, then you look at the fact that St. Croix, New York, and Florida are connected because of this infrastructure. Brookhaven, New York, Hollywood, Florida, Frederiksted, St. Croix. Coincidental opportunities. Then now you look at Florida as being the #1 hub for international trade in the Latin America, Caribbean region. Coincidental opportunity number 3, Gwinnett and Company, okay, are domiciled in the state of Florida. She runs a chamber of commerce called the Caribbean American Chamber of Commerce of Florida, Inc. Again, she also runs a publication that is the largest statewide publication for the Caribbean diaspora. Okay, that's coincidental opportunity number 3. Coincidental opportunity number 4. You heard from Dan Camano, and you heard him said, with all of their assets in operation around the world, their headquarters in Tampa, Florida.
That's true.
Yep.
Okay, and so what the potential of what SETI and the CASE initiative with its strategic partner, what we can do from a unique perspective, that there's there are things we can do that other people just can't do, and that's a fact. The infrastructures and technology and things that we have that nobody has. That's a fact. What we didn't have before, St. Croix by itself, we didn't have economy of scale. We're a tiny island with 100,000 people throughout the territory. Florida is one of the largest states in the country. It is the 4th largest economy in the country. It is the 19th largest economy in the world. So we now have economy of scale in our partnership with the coincidental opportunity of the telecom infrastructure to be able to be that formidable force to build what we believe we have in terms of this marketplace exchange ecosystem to better connect a single economic bloc. This is what we bring.
If I
Sure.
could just interject, the notion that you're talking about when I think of where the opportunity is, has all to do with perception, as was brought up before. So when we look at before of saying a tiny place with only 50,000 people on St. Croix and 100,000 people in the territory, that minimizes the perception of what happened for 3 centuries. The center of trade where the European nations competed for islands and doing that was all in the Caribbean. And so now what we're saying is that perception went away and we were looked at as some sort of stepchild. And so if we take advantage of the Caribbean Basin Initiative and we take advantage of what's happening with the Jones Act and other things in our central location, the opening of the Panama Canal, then the movement of that information around the world can center in New York, in Florida, and in St. Croix. And also there's the aspect of the multiculturalism, the Spanish language, and the fact that our technology allows the transfer of the data and documents in multiple formats and structures and languages. So being able to communicate with all of Central and South America, Mexico, can be done with the language capabilities in Florida, in New York, and in the Virgin Islands. So that capability was lacking 15 years ago when I was coming up because the international monetary system and the transfer of assets was antiquated and not keeping up on a regulatory basis. Now that has changed with what's been talked about with Atlas Bank. So if we can put that movement together along with the movement of the physical assets, and you saw how $1 billion a day was lost in trade with the blocking of the Suez Canal. And can you imagine, people just are now beginning to understand the complexity. When we come here and we talk about the intermodal hub of these ships coming into St. Croix and being able to do transfer and intermodal shipment and take the full cart truck container loads of ships, they come in here. If we have the information and we have the banking information, you can take a ship from China coming through the Panama Canal and then have a full ship because they can land in 2 places, going to Houston, going to Florida, going to New York, rather than having partial because they can only land in 1 U.S. port unless they land in St. Croix, then they can do 2. So the implications from a trade and that market, the inspection, the security and cybersecurity, all the things that were talked about by all of you during this broadcast, when you add the trade and the facilitation and the supply chain to this capability, the monetary system and access to capital, I think that's the opportunity.
And before Matthew speaks, then of course there is the Isles of Washington, the Congressional Isles of Washington, Washington, D.C. Carolyn and Linda is that other coincidental opportunity because the U.S. strategy engagement for the Caribbean is law that was created in 2016. The federal government has a policy initiative to strengthen its relationship with the Caribbean. In order for that to be completely, fully manifested and implemented, you're going to need the private sector service provider to be able to deliver those goods on what the United States is saying it can do for the region. We are the private sector. And so our colleagues in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area are going to be very important allies. You heard from Director Andreas Hayes and his commitment and his excitement to be part of CASE and what we're trying to do, because they're going to be an important element and a connection to this ecosystem. Then when we talk about what we say we can do, we have not only the plan, the strategy, but we have the infrastructure, we have the technology, and we have the ability to execute what we said we're going to do.
And I believe we have a sleeping giant in the diaspora here that I don't think, because we come in so many colors, so many religions, so many different, we look and talk and we seem different to outsiders. However, those who know that it is a huge block. And so the regions that you discussed, New York, Florida, again, those are places where the diaspora is the strongest. And so tapping into that as well is gonna create a synergy here that I am so excited about.
And we have a friend and a colleague in Matthew Beam. He loves St. Croix, obviously because of his relationship with the bank that he represents. They're based, one of their base is in Miami. But Matt is an expert when it comes to the ecosystem, when it comes to banking and economy in the region. Matthew, I want to thank you so much for your continued support and commitment to the work that he does, and always availing yourself. You're going to be an important asset because obviously you not only have an understanding of Latin America, South America, but you're also you represent a bank that's a European financial group bank. And so the opportunity to be able to cross sort of collaborate with various institutions, financial institutions, in order to move money and to be able to do a capital formation system is going to be an important part. You're going to be an important part of that process. And I want to thank you for that. Why don't you, anything you'd like to offer, Matthew, obviously on the program, or if anyone has a question that you haven't asked so far. But Matthew, thank you for being part of the program. Thank you for being part of what we're doing.
No, thank you, Anthony, and hello to everybody else on the line. Good to meet everybody virtually. Again, Anthony, wow, it's been about 15 years since we first met, so we're we go back pretty far. I lived in St. Croix back in those days. I left in 2009 to Miami. I lived in Miami for 10 years, and now I'm even probably the furthest south of any else of you on the show here. I'm in Uruguay, which is
wow,
south as you can get. Yeah. Next stop is Antarctica.
Oh God, I got to tell you, I know that you'll make it back to the mainland at some point. Matthew also was he's a CFA, a certified financial analyst, and when he was the chairman, I remember he invited me to one of their chapter meetings, and that was my introduction to the financial community in Miami through his chairmanship of the CFA Association
I remember
Society.
That.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I remember that. I was president from 2014 to 2016, so it must have been in those in around that time. But
absolutely. Matthew, what do you? Now we're seeing a migration or exodus of the usual suspect, seeing that Wall Street is the epicenter, the financial center of the capital market system. But some of the biggest names now are leaving New York to go domicile and set up the headquarters in Miami. What do you say about that? What do you think is driving that?
I mean, I think some of it is, some of it, but not all of it is short-term reaction of the COVID. Obviously the pandemic has put working from home on the map permanently for some people. So I think flexibility is an attraction for major employers now to be able to attract the best talent. You're going to have to offer that flexibility, and I don't think that's going to go away. So I think there's there was a short-term catalyst there in the pandemic. I think Miami is becoming more and more or Florida in general, and the reason why New York is, the confluence of, very, very smart, intelligent, and business oriented, as Mr. Whedon said of his friend there, business oriented people that are very highly driven. And if, that was New York, right? And I think that going forward, New York doesn't have a monopoly on that. And there's also talent everywhere. There's talent in Florida. There's talent in, St. Croix. There's talent in Uruguay. There's talent all over the world that you can, offer positions to that maybe you could only offer to New York. New York domiciled employees. And so I do think that that's a part of the factor is, people enjoy the weather. They want to live and work from home. At least some do. And more, I think, do. And so I do think that, the talent pool globally is obviously a lot larger than the talent pool in one particular area of the country or one particular city in the world. So I think that that's probably here to stay. Other people have argued, it's more business friendly in terms of, income taxes and, regulations. That might be some of it. But I don't think Goldman Sachs or, major hedge funds are just going to pick up and move because they're able to, have a little bit more favorable treatment on those things. There has to be a major, a major issue beyond that, I think. And, I do think that, from my understanding, I haven't been back to Miami since the pandemic has hit, but my understanding is, real estate is on fire in South Florida. It's booming more than even, pre, 2003, 2004, 2005 kind of situation. And, a lot of it has to do with the people, a migration of people from the Northeast wanting to come to, better climate. And I do think, places like St. Croix present another opportunity for that as well. People who are wanting to telework, telecommute, and live in a favorable climate. Obviously, you have the internet capabilities, and other people have delineated that, quite eloquently before, before I started speaking. And also, I think that there's an issue in which St. Croix is in the United States, so you don't have to have any separate work issues or visas or anything like that. You can go and work in a place like the Virgin Islands and have favorable treatment, and be able to work from for a major corporation. So I think that's an opportunity. And another thing that I think, and this is maybe even a little bit more short term, is there is an enormous amount of pin-up demand for tourism. We saw this in Miami Beach last week, right? Like the spring breakers just, basically, they had to institute a curfew in Miami Beach, and that's, that's a news item, right? That's a kind of a 24-hour news cycle thing, and everybody's going to forget about it. But I think that, once the pandemic is under control, I do think that there's going to be a huge demand, and there's been, at least a year of pin-up demand for tourism. And, obviously it's very cyclical. It's probably relatively short term, but, if St. Croix or the Virgin Islands or any, major tourist destination for that matter, is able to, capitalize on, this pin-up demand, I think that it could be, a huge stimulus to the economy in the short term. It's not a long-term plan, but, I do think that there's an opportunity there. But, going back to your question, I do think that I think it's mostly the fact that people are able to live wherever they live and work wherever they want to, right? So whether that's Miami or New York or wherever they want to be, I do think that that's the trend of the trend going forward. You might have to, fly in, to a meeting once a month or maybe 1 week out of the month or something along those lines. But, I think the old, traditional, model of people being in the office, 5 days a week, I don't see that coming back, at least not to the extent that it was, before last year.
And that's why CASE is going to be so important, because all of the elements that you talked about, technology, infrastructure, human capital, environment, are all they're going to be the kind of ingredients are going to be necessary to create the type of business model or model for where people are going to want to, when they look at the future and how they do business, they want to be a part of a system that that can create and foster an environment to help and stimulate and spur economic growth. And that's what CASE represents. The Caribbean America single economy, as philosophically speaking, as a marketplace, capital formation system exchange to this economic bloc, encompasses all of those regions. And so I'm gonna and as we look at closing out here, I'm gonna play this video. This video is so compelling as to where we're going, because at the end of this video, all of this is not aspirant type thing. We have built the infrastructure. We've taken the time. The investment has been made. The Kumin Up infrastructure is built. In the next 2 weeks, our cryptocurrency exchange will be live. So this is not theoretical. This is not theoretical. Okay, the investment has been made to be able to connect, to help the digitize businesses. Mm-hmm. One of the things the pandemic has revealed is that if you didn't understand the importance of technology and the internet and the ability to be able to stay connected in the most extreme circumstances, if you didn't learn anything then, you're not going to learn anything going forward. But what it has revealed is that you're going to have to do things different. You're going to have to retool your business. And so all of the different elements and components we're talking about is going to be able to do that. And so let me play this video that speaks to where the future is going to, and then I will give you a list of, what we've built and what that technology is and what we're going to implement and execute going forward. Here we go.
While Anthony cues it up.
We use money every day, but we rarely appreciate its power and its flaws. It's a tool that has been at the center of human progress. And as we build bigger and tackle complex problems, we're going to need the best tools available.
We have a global economy. We're going to need a global digital currency.
Cryptocurrency is going to be a great democratizing force for the world because it's going to level the playing field and allow anybody with a cell phone to access financial services.
This is going to transform how we think about a real global economy. I think in order to understand its importance, we first have to define what currency means. What currency does is it actually allows us to agree upon the value of something. It's almost like a communication tool.
There are different ways of coordinating human beings. One way that you can do that is with money. You can incentivize people to try to work on the same thing at the same time.
We started off building simple systems like a bridge crossing a river to very amazing things like rocket ships. We went from interacting with our neighbors to now transacting with each other around the world. And we want to make sure that people can move money freely. And our current financial system just doesn't enable that.
So the current systems are very centralized. And so we have big banks and big governments. There's a lot of middlemen who make things incredibly inefficient.
When you talk about the problems of the existing financial system, you can go to a situation like Venezuela where money is being printed and folks' savings are basically being destroyed.
the value of their wealth has been completely eroded. I think a lot of us in the United States sort of take this idea for granted that if someone gives us money, it'll be in our bank account and it's not going to disappear or be taken away from us. And that's really a luxury that many people in the world don't have at all. There are about 1.8 billion people in the world today who have a cell phone but don't have access to any financial services. And what's really powerful about cryptocurrency is that it lets anybody, if you just have a smartphone and internet connection, participate in the global economy.
What cryptocurrency does is takes the stability that we have and gives it to the rest of the world.
If I have a dollar bill, I can hand that directly to somebody else. There was no bank in the middle there. With digital currency and blockchain, it's actually more similar to cash yet again, where I can send something directly to somebody else and I don't necessarily have to go through middlemen like a bank or a credit card company.
We can go back to how we normally transacted, which is directly with each other without all these giant central parties in between.
When computer scientists talk about the concept of so-called decentralization, what they mean is to avoid this idea of a single point of failure.
A single point of failure like we have with institutions.
If you have a single bank and that bank has all your money and then that bank fails, well, everyone's out of money. Whereas if you have lots of different individual nodes, hard drives and phones and so on that have some money, well, they're probably not all going to fail at the same time.
So you no longer need the middleman to keep track of an internal ledger. All these computers are writing everything down for you.
That network effect makes it unbreakable.
So technology makes us richer and wealthier because you need less time or less money or less effort to get something done.
Right now, when people think of crypto, I think they think of investment.
There's a lot of speculation, there's a lot of talk of prices and how much money has been raised, but it's really important to see past that.
It'll shift to people actually using cryptocurrency to buy goods and services and transact in the economy.
And that's not just send money back and forth, that means employ each other or fund each other.
A more global economy is important because there is talent everywhere, but opportunity is not evenly distributed.
In a world where this technology is fully adopted, it won't matter what country you're born in. All that will matter is that you have a mobile phone and internet connection, and you have skills and knowledge to learn, and you can contribute to the global economy. You can benefit from the world, and the world can benefit from you.
Think about what kind of economy we could have if we had a global currency that we were all responsible for and all invested in. It opens up opportunity for everybody.
Just being able to trust that if I do good work in the world and someone compensates me for it, I will be able to keep that wealth. That's such a powerful idea that it actually encourages people to try to do more good things in the world.
If you've got lots of people who are invested in each other's success, literally, they're invested in each other's success at a broader level.
I think cryptocurrencies are going to be as impactful to humanity as the internet has been.
Digital currency and blockchain can bind us in ways that we wouldn't be bound before.
All right.
It's quite fascinating.
Imagine that one of the biggest challenge the Caribbean and Latin American region has is the fact that each country have their own currency. The digital currency space is going to simply democratize that issue. And clearly you're hearing so much about everyone trying to create their own, if you will, coin in terms of cryptocurrency, create their own coin. What we're going to do and what we built and what we're testing and what's going to go live in 2 weeks is a cryptocurrency exchange. So no matter what coin is produced anywhere, whether it's the Caribbean, Latin American, Europe, Africa, wherever it is, that the Case ecosystem powered by Kuman is going to allow any cryptocurrency or coin to be traded on the Case marketplace. Okay. Also, go ahead, John. We have like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I wanted to segue into something that Matthew said and then reflect on the video. So we talked largely about infrastructure and capabilities and things like that. What I would say is that this cryptocurrency is allowing the actual exchange and business to be done using the technology. And what we're doing at the same time with the supply chain and creating a smart city environment is to do, let me talk about 3 things. 1, telehealth. with the pandemic, we need to have what's your temperature, what's your heart rate, how are you, and are you compromised? How do we reach our elders? And we need the rural broadband to be able to do that. We need the canopy in order to do our education because we're learning remotely. We need it for workforce development. So this infrastructure that was, I'll call it, being dormant for the past 15 years that we've been trying to get people to see the view and the vision and pushing it as opposed to being pulled, it's all of a sudden going to be pull us. And there's a need right now for the cryptocurrency that you have. So that's where the opportunity is meeting our patients, is that you're putting in a system that is needed right now today. Just like the infrastructure and doing a smart city environment allows this virtual ability to work through the pandemic, and agreeing with Matthew, it's not going to be business as usual when the pandemic is over. It's going to be whoever can seize this new way of doing business internationally with goods, with money, and with information.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but what's also important, Anthony and John, and I just really appreciate this conversation because this is my new jam for sure, is that what it really is. I mean, I'm knee deep into it, but the concern that I have while we have the exchange is how do we get the public into and aware of and investing in and buying these currencies? Because we don't know what the future holds in terms of the mining, because it's to mine, Bitcoin, what 900 Bitcoins are released annually. Right. So we've got a limitation at some point. What 21 million are going to be available only. So then that's going to be the space in which at least that particular coin will only operate. I don't know the others, but we have to begin to get these communities, because otherwise we're going to have a digital currency and community divide. We're going to be stuck with a caste system, whether you're fiat or paper money coins, or whether or not you have already made and stored your Bitcoin or whatever your currency coin choice may be. So I do have some concern that we need to educate alongside this opportunity, which is phenomenal, to create a multi-currency cryptocurrency exchange. 2 weeks, right. Marking it on my calendar.
And the other thing is, and just strictly from the traditional conventional ways, we talked about having the platform ready, but right now in 2 weeks, so every person that signs up for a Kuminup account, the domestic market card, Kuminup card, will be ready in 2 weeks. The international Kuminup MasterCard will be ready in late April. The Visa will be a virtual card that's available now to anybody. So when you sign up for a Kuminup account, you get a virtual Visa card. It's virtual, and anyone can sign up for it now, and anyone in the world it's available to. We're working with our other banking partners that are the corresponding banking partners to allow us to do, obviously, ACA transaction, SWIFT transaction, and then also the ability to allow businesses, whether or not they have a website, whether or not they have an e-commerce account with Amazon, Etsy, Shopify, or whatever it is, the uniqueness of our technology, the Kuminup technology, will give anyone who is conducting business transactionally, will give you the ability at point of sale. If this is your product, you don't need a website, you don't need a social media account. You just have to have the ability to connect online with whomever to sell this bottled water using the Kuminup technology, and we're able to facilitate that transaction real time with anyone using whatever currency they have in real time right now. And so the infrastructure, $1 million has been spent building this infrastructure in terms of real world, conventional, the money system and how money works today through the banking system and through the these e-wallets and cards. And then again, in 2 weeks, we'll have the crypto exchange as well. And this is what we have built. So we're not theorizing, we're not hypothesizing. The infrastructure, we have the framework has been built. We've laid the foundation. The building block has been in place. What this is now the introduction and the rollout, and now the work begins to start really, like Linda said, to start educating people, to do outreach, and start really empowering, enabling people to be able to leverage technology and give them the means to be able to do business right now in the marketplace.
So are you heading therefore into the NFT space as well? Is that going to be the next foray? Non-fungible tokens?
Yeah. We've had some requests for that development. It's a blockchain thing, and we've had that request. And so clearly, it's blockchain. When blockchains first came out, they said there were going to be 200 unique applications for blockchain. All other derivative, all other blockchain technology application is going to come out of the 200 unique application for blockchain. And so NFT, QTE, BTE, you're going to continue to hear of other, derivatives coming out of the blockchain technology application.
Fascinating.
Really interesting. I mean, and I am looking forward to us really just detailing for the chamber members exactly benefits moving forward. We've got a lot of folks lined up who are interested in working out with the PPP on application. So there's really so much more that I don't even think we were able to capture in this launch today that we're going to be bringing to the chamber members in the diaspora. I actually wish that I had been able to stay on, because really, as I said, it really would have shown a real world example. And Anthony, she would have been able to speak in essence to maybe how they were able to pay their workers when they had hired staff in Jamaica and hired staff in Guyana and in Trinidad, because I do think that movement of money had to have been an issue, even though things were optimized because of staff. I do know that their systems became more efficient because of the staffing being utilized in the islands, but I'm sure that on the money end there were some issues. So I look forward to bringing her back on.
Yes, absolutely.
Delve deeper into that so we could really see real world how this works.
Absolutely. And I want to thank all of you. I want to thank all of you for your contribution. Obviously, I'm out of time. There's another show coming up in the studio, so I do have to vacate. I want to thank all of you for your contribution and looking forward to the work that we have to do going forward. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of extremely talented people. We got a lot of work to do and prosperity to create in the creation of CASE, the Caribbean American Single Economy model. Thank you guys so much. Well, until then.
This is so interesting. Thank you all. Great meeting you all. For those I didn't know.
Thank you. Thank you. Count us in as support. We are here with you, Anthony.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
all right,
everybody.
Guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.